We've got 7 juicy best of Redditor updates, Reddit stories for you guys today. Starting it off, what? With my student made a super creepy comment. My husband thinks I'm being paranoid. As per usual, this is best of Redditor updates, so we got updates on all 7 of these stories. So stick around for 6 more absolutely insane Reddit stories, such as my brother has been lying about my life to my conservative estranged parents, made a fake Instagram. Help. Very curious where this is going. And finally, the story we're going to be ending the stream on. My brother has been poisoning my girlfriend for the past 3 years. We got some good ones today, chat. Y'all know the drill. Let's lock in here. My student made a super creepy comment. My husband thinks I'm being paranoid. We have a 30 female OP, an 18 male student, and a 35 male husband. Original post, January 21st, 2025 in r/relationship advice. I am a high school English teacher and have been for a few years. In that time, as a woman, I've been used to teenage boys behaving awkwardly around me sometimes, and pheromones are part of the deal. There have been occasional comments, but generally in the vein of, Miss, so-and-so has a crush on you, or Miss, would you be so-and-so's Valentine? It's all in good humor in front of the whole class or a large group and is well-meaning. My school throws a January ball for seniors 16 to 18, which is basically an opportunity to celebrate the start of another calendar year. As it's after hours, not every teacher has to attend, and this year I was asked to chaperone. There is no alcohol permitted, but obviously some of them sneak in hip flasks and so on. During this month's ball, 2 students were huddled at a table in the corner of the hall, not dancing, just keeping to themselves. I know them as problematic students who have difficulties socially, but also perform poorly academically, so they don't fit in with the popular crowd or the nerdy lot. We have some of these every year: poor hygiene, greasy hair, long fingernails, that sort of thing. Immediately, I could tell they had been drinking from the way they spoke and smelled, and asked them to hand over any alcohol they had. One of the boys, call him Stuart, started protesting. He said the following, and I'm 100% sure this is what he actually said. Come on, miss. Don't pretend you won't open that bottle of Bailey's when you get home. Feet up in your dressing gown, watching the new TV. Give us a break. Now, as soon as he said this, I felt my heart drop into my stomach and got cold all over. I had just bought a bottle of Bailey's Irish Cream for myself the weekend before the dance. I am in the habit on nights where I don't have much marking/planning and want to treat myself of having a bath and watching a movie/series in my dressing gown. My husband bought a new television over Christmas. I asked him how he knew those things, and he feigned ignorance, basically saying it was a lucky guess. I was so shaken that I left them, and a short while later, they both left. But that night, I could barely sleep, and my paranoia kept growing. I simply cannot believe that he could have guessed all 3 of those things. 1, maybe, but no way all 3. My husband is away for work currently. I phoned and told him about it, and he basically downplayed my concerns, saying I probably mentioned those things to my class at various points, and this student has just remembered it. But I would never mention those things. I just wouldn't. And I'm sure I haven't. I've become more skittish at home when I hear noises. I only live in a small house, but when I arrive home from buying groceries, I check every single room and cupboard before I lock the doors. I've also arranged to have locks changed. When cars stop outside the house, I turn all the lights off and peek at them through the blinds. I'm having trouble sleeping. In class, this student is quiet and the same as ever. Not completing homework assignments, distracted in class. My husband is growing increasingly exasperated and worried, more for my mental health than the possibility this student could somehow know details of my personal life. I mentioned it to my supervisor as well, and she also basically reasoned that I had either misheard what he said, it was a coincidence, or a combination of the two. What's the play here? I'm seriously freaked out and don't know how to even begin putting this to rest. Yeah, I mean, maybe these 2 I could see a teacher mentioning in passing, but I don't see this. Maybe this is common in Europe, but like I sure as shit know my high school teachers were not talking to me about what kind of alcohol they were buying casually. That is a super weird thing to bring up. I think my prediction here, chat, is there has to be a camera inside of the house, or maybe the husband is acting this way because maybe he's revealing this information somehow. somehow. It is really suspicious that the husband isn't taking this seriously. I hear my wife is telling me that there's some creepy shit happening. I'm immediately jumping on their side. Those are my predictions, chat. What are y'all saying though? These are the type of people who act shocked when a woman who felt unsafe gets hurt by those people. Exactly, Tabby. Yeah, my mind immediately went to the husband live streaming their lives on the dark web or some shit. Yeah, some like voyeurism type shit. I know that's a thing. People like to like install cameras and like watch someone while they're not aware of it because it like turns them on and shit. That's where my brain went. Maybe he was paid off by students to let them snoop. Damn, bro, we have whole ass conspiracy theories going on in chat. This is crazy. Update 1. I wasn't expecting this post to receive so much attention. I'm really grateful to so many people who have validated my concerns and helped me develop a plan of action. I got home a little while ago and I'm going out shortly with a friend to try to rule out Bluetooth and Wi-Fi devices with my neighbors. After that, the two of us will try and conduct a meticulous search of the house for any concealed devices using the lights out phone camera trick. Some people recommend it and some other tips I've found online. Lights out phone camera trick. What does that mean? Finding a hidden camera with a phone's front camera. 1, turn off all the lights and make sure the room is as dark as possible. 2, turn on your smartphone's camera and use it to scan the room slowly. 3, look at the screen. If there's any suspicious light, there may be a hidden camera. Damn, is that real? That's crazy. I've actually never heard of that. Nice little tip though. Just to clarify a couple of points that I've seen raised a few times. 1, dressing gown is a really common term here in England for what Americans might call a robe. It's absolutely common parlance. Here, most people I know would associate a robe with something a wizard might wear. 2, in terms of being a lucky guess, if he had just said, relax with a glass of wine, I might have assumed so. But the dressing gown comment plus the Bailey's comment when I had just bought a bottle and the explicit mention of a new television, which I am 100% certain I did not misinterpret, these things make it so much harder to write off as a coincidence. 3, as far as social media goes, I have Instagram, which is set to private under my maiden name, and my profile picture is not of me. I am not in the habit of connecting with former students. I only have 3 who have all gone on to study English at university and have used me as references. I also have a Snapchat, which I use only with my husband and very close friends. I have posted nothing about my new television, and I also don't think I've mentioned this to colleagues, let alone to students. Certainly, I said nothing about the Baileys I just bought. These comments are basically just people saying you'll have to check a Wi-Fi connection because if they're using hidden cameras, they need Wi-Fi. I'm still on the wave that the husband is doing some sketchy shit. He brushed that off way too easily. Either the husband is streaming it online and the kids found it, or someone else is, and yeah, the kids found it. Either way, this is super creepy. I mean, the way that she described those kids, it gives not necessarily stalker, but like messing around on the dark web type beat. Second and final update, January 26th, 2025. I wasn't going to post an update here, but the number of ward people who have reached out to me made me reconsider. After a thorough search of my house, I found 2 devices. They seem to be camera devices. I don't know if audio is included. One of them was in the smoke detector in my bedroom, while the other was concealed in the wall of my living room. Looking at an old picture of my bedroom, it looks like the smoke detector itself has changed very slightly. I think that the new one is a device in itself which the culprit somehow switched with the old one without us noticing. The matter has now been referred to the police. If it wasn't for so many of you taking me seriously and giving me practical advice, I wouldn't have had the courage to check, especially given my husband downplaying the concerns. He has been very apologetic and is coming back from his work trip early, but I've asked to spend some time apart and will be staying with my parents for a while. I'm glad I raised the issue with the head at my school and a couple of others, as there's a paper trail. Another suggestion from the thread. Needless to say, I'm completely shaken to my core and I have the most revolting feeling of my privacy being invaded. I have no idea how many people have been involved in this, but phones have been taken from students and we should have more answers soon. I won't be making any more posts or updates. Thank you again to everyone for affirming me and making me feel sane. I still think the husband has something to do with this because he's been on this work trip. I wonder if the husband set up these cameras to watch his wife and then somehow these kids hacked into the cameras or something. I think that is my new verdict here, but who knows? Maybe he is like live streaming it. Are other people saying it in the comments too? Oh, this is a good point. One camera was in the wall of the living room. That doesn't sound quick to do, especially to conceal it well. My bet, like many others say, is that the husband put the cameras there and the students hacked the feed. Even if the husband wasn't intentionally live streaming it to like some dark web website, he set it up to spy on his wife while he was gone. And then the kids hacked into it or something like that. My brother has been lying about my life to my conservative, estranged parents, made a fake Instagram. Help. We have a 15 male brother and a 25 male OP. Original post July 30th, 2019, posted in r/relationship advice. I grew up a Jehovah's Witness. If you don't know, Jehovah's Witnesses are extremely conservative to an insane degree. I wasn't allowed to read Harry Potter, if that makes sense. And my parents were not lax or exceptions for my children type. Extremely devout people, and I'm gay. When I was 16, I was outed horribly by my sister, who found some gay porn that I didn't delete from my computer history. My family, of course, flipped out and demanded I either seek conversion therapy or get out. Luckily for me, my aunt had also defected from the church, so I was able to move in with her, far away. My parents and sister immediately wanted nothing to do with me, but my brother was 6. He was too young to really grasp what was going on and had no phone or social media or anything, so I couldn't contact him. I honestly just assumed he drank the same End Is Nigh Kool-Aid and never sought him out. Earlier this year, I got a message from him on Facebook. It was a gigantic apology for not saying goodbye properly and that he really wanted me back in his life. Clicking through his profile, I didn't see any Jehovah's Witness proselytizing like my sisters. I gotta look up this word. I've never seen this fucking word a day in my life, chat. The action of attempting to convert someone from one religion, belief, or opinion to another. You learn something new every day, chat. Just pics of him and his friends being normal teens. I was beyond happy. I messaged him back. We FaceTimed, cried. He caught me up a little in his life and I caught him up a little in mine. And from there, we started texting regularly. I am very, very happy about all this, but he was still living under my parents' roof and was still heavy in Jehovah's Witness culture. I was nervous about this. He always reaffirmed that he only called/texted when he wasn't in the house or around other Jehovah's Witnesses, and reaffirmed that he thought the church was awful. Last week, something weird happened. I got an email from my mother. It was a picture from a recent Dells trip she had taken with my family and another Jehovah's Witness family. Years of no contact. Then this. What the fuck? I spent days talking this out with my friends before it occurred to me that my brother might have something to do with this. I brought up the email to my brother when I called him yesterday, barely hinting at my suspicions at all, and he unloaded. He had been lying to my parents. He said that I contacted him apologizing and was desperate to get back in contact with the witnesses again, but was too ashamed. But the kicker is he made a fake Instagram to show them. He plucked all the G-rated pictures from my various social medias and filled it in with captions about how devout I am, how happy I am to have refound God's light, etc. He had taken pictures of me and my best friend Julie and added captions like the love of my life, my bride-to-be, etc. Like, holy shit. He seemed already remorseful of this ploy, but that he was in too deep to stop now. Now he didn't say as much, but the obvious implication here is that he thought he could get my family back together, but this isn't a fucking sitcom or the Birdcage. He's catfishing his very emotionally unstable and religious zealot parents into thinking their F-slur outcast son was reconverting. I have no intentions of being in their life ever again, but I'd like to remain in my brother's life, and I don't want this incident to scare him off or sever the small bits of contact we have now. So what do? I will not be contacting my parents, nor will I pretend to be straight. Obviously, I need to tell him to close the account and stop talking about me to them. But what else, if anything? I'm a little stumped here, chat. I don't know what to do, because, like, maybe you guys won't agree with this, but, like, I really don't blame this 15-year-old kid who just, like, wants his family to be back together. Like, is it a stupid move? Yes. Should he do it? No. It's not like he was, like, doing this to, like, make OP's life worse. Or maybe he was. I don't know. But he genuinely was like, I want my family to be back together. Like, I don't think this is no contact worthy with the brother, because this is all just coming from, like, he just wants his family to get along, which I think any 15-year-old or any kid of a family would want. I like to think a 14 or 15-year-old kid still doesn't know the intricacies of certain things that you're supposed to do and not supposed to do. From my last video, people clearly did not agree with that. People were like, no, fuck it. A 14-year-old should have all the knowledge about everything in this world ever. Don't agree with that. I'm not trying to discount that this maybe is malicious, but what I'm saying is I'd like to give this 15-year-old the benefit of the doubt. If you grow up in a cult, manipulation is natural. That's a good point too, kid. It just sounds like some dumb shit a kid would do. Like, he never put it together. He was just like, I want my family to be together. Oh my God, guys, is the music playing right now? Has it been playing this whole time? Fuck you guys. I can't believe I left the music on. Ah! That's so stupid of me, chat. I think my mother's calling me right now. Hey, Kathy, I'm streaming right now. They can hear you.
Okay, then I won't say anything.
Is everything okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
We're just at Waste Management.
Oh, cool. Are you guys going to watch the Super Bowl now?
Absolutely.
Fun. Okay, cool. Well, can I call you after I'm done streaming?
Yep. Have fun.
All right.
Hoping both teams lose. Bye.
Yeah, exactly. Love you. Bye. So goofy, silly. Brother, not worth it. No offense, but it feels icky what he pulled off to this stunt to fake an account. Nah. Are we really going to expect a kid who grew up in basically a cult to be able to know what he should or shouldn't do? Me personally, I want to go with no. I think for me, it's because I want the happy ending of like the brother realized what he did was wrong and it really stemmed from him wanting to leave his family, and then he goes and lives with the aunt and him and the brother live happily ever after. I guess maybe that's where I'm coming from here, is like I'd like to see the happy ending. All religions are technically cults. That's a hot take, Nightshade. I do not disagree with you. We have a commenter who said he's still in a cult and is trying to drag you back in. I would not be surprised if your parents put him up to that. I'm sorry, but you have to cut them off if you want to remain safe from them. Report the copycat Instagram and have it taken down. Me personally, I want to talk to him first, but you know what? I didn't even consider this. This could be the case. OOP, that was one of my first thoughts, but I don't know. He seemed very genuinely engaged with my life in a way that didn't seem coaxed/trained. He also had pictures with friends in gay pride flag shirts and has talked about going to parties, drinking, smoking weed, Marvel movies, etc. The internet seemed to connect him away from the cult as it did for me. Plus, if this was some elaborate ruse, why would he make the fake Instagram in the first place? Also, if me barely coaxing exposed everything, my brother clearly can't lie well. This makes a lot of sense to me. I'm back on the give him the benefit of the doubt train. Top comment, maybe he wants grounds to escape to you. Look, bro's all fixed. I can go visit him during the summer without being banished. I don't think it was a ploy to drag you back in because he wasn't trying to convert you. He was trying to deceive them. If this could help him have a sane and safe outlet, that'd be great. He may also really miss you and just wish you could be unbanished. But you obviously should not have to put on an act to go home. Entirely, fuck that. But the poor kid is trapped and odd coping mechanisms are to be expected, really. Thank you. I feel like this is exactly what I was trying to say, but maybe didn't put out there, is like kids have weird coping mechanisms with things. I'm most curious about what his intentions were. The update, August 2nd, 2019, about 3 days after the original post. I'd like to specifically thank user/myman for his comment, which is the comment we just read, which suggested that this was not him trying to rope me back in, but him trying to escape the cult. You were exactly right. Today we talked for the first time since our conversation. He took down the Insta after our conversation, which I hadn't noticed at the time of writing the post, haha. And I gently asked why exactly he did this. He's 15, so he didn't quite have the language to say, I'm being abused and need to leave the Jehovah's Witness. What he said instead was that mom and dad are crazy and he's become disillusioned with the cult. He even used the word cult. He still believes in God and wants to explore different sects of Judeo-Christianity. My hometown is a small place in the Midwest and everyone knows who the Jehovah's Witnesses are. They're like those people. So he couldn't covertly go to another service without someone recognizing him and it getting back to my parents. His motive was pretty much what user/myman said. He said he wants to visit, hang out, and explore the religions around Chicago, but the only way my parents would allow him to leave town is if they knew exactly where he was, who he was with the whole time, etc. So in his head, propping me up as converted was the only way to make it happen. I told him I was completely uncomfortable with that and that my relationship with my parents is over. He apologized and pretty much already knew the logistical problems. I think this was a very maturing ordeal for him. I established myself as a lifeline. I told him that if it ever gets too much, I will pay for his train ticket and he can stay with me for as long as he likes, even moving in for the remainder of high school. And I mean it. I have enough space and my aunt will help with childcare/extra expenses. He seemed apprehensive, but the thought's out there and he now seems comfortable enough to vent about the church/my parents/my crazy ass sister directly. Unrecognized hero of the story is this aunt, by the way. What a fucking goated aunt to not only save OP, but be willing to also help save this brother. As for my parents, I just told him to cold turkey stop talking about me if they ask, and this was suggested by Julie, my bride-to-be. He will tell them that I might have refound Christianity, but I have no intentions to return to the Watchtower and that he stopped talking to me. Leaving Jehovah's Witness for any reason is grounds for excommunication. And I put my actual Insta on private in case they go looking. They might think I'm not gay. might now have the sliver of hope that I'll return to them, but that's honestly not my fucking problem. And for the guys who suggested this was a honeypot, no 15-year-old can act this well. He's so full of love and kindness, and as fucked up as his plan was, it was at the end of the day because he is panicking in a toxic environment. Thank you all again. My brother is back in my life and I now have the means to help him. Thank you. There is one relevant comment and it's a downvoted commenter. Pretty sure I'll be downvoted for this, but it's lame as hell that you won't go along with it just so your brother can have somewhere safe to go when he needs to. No one said you need to be best buddies with your parents again, and them having kicked you out for any reason is a good reason to not have to befriend them. OP responded, the logistical problems are insurmountable. What if instead of sending a 15-year-old alone on a trip with a previously gay son, they all take a trip? What if they try to contact me, meet my wife? Again, this isn't the bird cage, and the point of the bird cage is that you can't hide who you are, even if it's too earnestly to help a loved one. I just don't see a world where playing along actually works. I don't see a scenario where they don't fully vet OP and send their son away with him for the summer. I think it ended up as best as it possibly could, though. I think the only thing better that could maybe happen is the brother should just up and leave if possible. Fuck these parents. OP spent half of their life hiding themselves. It's unfair to expect them to do it again. I agree. I also just think it's dumb. Like, that is not a ruse that you could keep up. It would require so much energy. I think you're just better off like playing it the way that you're playing it. Would I be the a-hole if I disown my parents after my mom refused to take care of me after I give birth? Original post, November 15th, 2024. So I, 28 female, am 30 weeks pregnant with my first child, and I'm about to move to another state. And my mom has this thing where she takes care of my siblings when they give birth until they recover. She has done it for my older sister and my brother's wife, so I thought she would do the same thing with me too. But a week ago, she told me that she couldn't because it is too far away. We got into a fight about the whole thing and I told her to get out of my house. And now we are not talking. Before you judge me and say that my mom isn't obligated to take care of me, I will tell you that it isn't about my mom taking care of me. It was never about that. I am that one child in the family who nobody really cares about. My parents always claim that they love and treat us all equally, but man, is it obvious that they love me a little bit less than the others. I always thought that maybe I am adopted and that's why they don't care about me that much. Well, I am wrong because I am 100% theirs. It is always about how my other siblings are doing or how mom and dad are suffering, but it is never about me. It was never about me from the beginning. I am rarely celebrated, even if it's supposed to be my day. My birthdays, they rarely celebrated because mom and dad forgot, or they just threw everything in the house and called it a birthday. High school graduation party? Nope. My parents have already wasted a lot of money for my big brother's college graduation party, so they can't do that, but they will make sure to make it up to me. Do you think that ever happened? I will give you a minute or two. If you guessed no, then congrats. You guessed right. Yay! They shared the wedding expenses of my siblings' wedding, but since my husband came from a good family, they don't have to share wedding expenses. Not my words. I have always been the therapist who listens to my mom and dad's rough day, or the one who needs to help mom because my older siblings have a lot of schoolwork to do, or because my younger siblings are too young to do that kind of work. They always tell me that I am a good daughter, but I am never the one who they brag about to their friends. I did everything in my power to make them proud, but my achievements will always be below my siblings. I have tried to talk to them about how I feel multiple times before, but the only thing I get is a hard scolding about how I was getting spoiled. I hated my life until I got out of that house, but I never had the courage to let go of them, thinking that they would change. Well, my mother proved me wrong. Mind you that my older sibling lives a whole ass ocean away from us, but mom decided that taking a 10+ hour flight to another continent twice was not hard at all, but all of a sudden taking a 4-hour ride to my home was too much. Especially when I am in a place where I don't know anyone except my husband. I am so fucking tired of them putting everyone else above me. So I will make things right between us until I leave because I don't want to end things on a bad note. And when I get to my new house, I will just cut all contact between us. I don't think that I have the energy to do all this crap anymore. And besides, I have my lovely husband with me, so I will be all right and build myself a new family where I am truly appreciated and loved for who I am. Note, I am the third out of 5 children. My younger siblings are twins. Middle child syndrome, no, for real. The only thing I want to know, chat, is I want to know how old the parents are, because we don't know when the 10-hour flight happened and how long ago that was from this 4-hour 4-hour car ride. Like, if these parents are kind of older, I wouldn't want them doing that, honestly, and I could kind of see it. But just from everything else that OP has explained, OP should have went no contact with these parents years and years ago. That sucks that they aren't giving you the support here, but I'm shocked that you even expected it. Yeah, no contact. You got to protect yourself from anyone who hurts you over and over again. Don't get me wrong, guys. Like, I look at my relationships with people like almost as a business. How much value are you providing to their life is important, but how much value are they providing to your life as well? It goes both ways. When I meet a friend, I never really am thinking like, what can you do for me? But after an extended period of time, if I'm like, hey man, like I've dropped everything for you on multiple occasions and like I needed your help doing something small and you just like kind of refuse to do it, I kind of just diminish the amount of time that I spend with that person. My truly best friends out of this world, not only have I shown them love and compassion and like given them a lot of my time, but they've also done the same thing for me. I think that's so important to like constantly evaluate your relationships and practice cutting off relationships that are too one-sided. Also, I'd love to know about the siblings and how they treat her. If my mom is treating my siblings poorly, I'll call her the fuck out on it. Update post January 29th, 2025, 2.5 months later. A lot has happened since my last post. I tried to call my parents, but they blocked me and I couldn't reach them, but I was determined on getting the closure that the younger version of me wanted. So I called my older brother and I asked him if we could meet up and talk about the situation. He told me that he won't meet up with me after what I've done to our mother, and he berated me, saying that I was an ungrateful person and that mom is in a lot of stress and pain because of me. I told him that it wasn't fair for him to just assume that I was the villain and that he couldn't even understand my point of view because they didn't treat him like they treated me my whole life. He knew that they had treated me like their personal chef, maid, and therapist for years, but they couldn't even give me the love and attention that I wanted for once in my whole damn life. He basically screamed at me through the phone that I was a piece of trash for saying that and that mom and dad treated us all equally, but I was just a damn narcissist who can't think about anyone but myself. I tried to talk, but my emotions got the better of me and I started breaking down on the phone and he hung up on me. Okay, well that answers the question of how shitty the siblings are. They are extremely shitty. I even started asking myself if I was really the narcissist that my family seemed to think of me, but my husband came to the rescue and helped me through all of this, but the doubt that maybe I was in the wrong still lingered in my head. I guess my brother told my parents that I called him because dad called about 2 days after that and asked me to meet up at their house. I was able to say no, but I couldn't because his voice was filled with remorse, so I thought that maybe, just maybe, we could get past the whole thing and I could drop the thought of cutting contact even if my mom doesn't want to help out. After like 3 days of talking to my dad, me and my husband went to their house to go talk. I thought that this was going to be me, my husband, and my parents talking, but they invited my brother and his wife. As soon as we sat, my dad started talking about how disappointed he was with me and that things shouldn't have led to this. I told him that he was right, things shouldn't have escalated to where they are now, but I assumed that since my mom helped take care of my sister and my brother's wife, she would do the same for me. But she just favored everyone else above me, and it was frustrating. I told them about how I felt over the past years, and I told them everything that I said to you guys, but all of them acted like they didn't care, which honestly hurt like hell. I knew at that moment that I didn't mean anything to them, so why was I fighting to be part of a family that didn't want me? My husband was going to speak, but I told him not to. Everyone gave their opinions about it, basically blaming me, and then my dad asked me if I wanted to say anything to mom. I told her that I was sorry because I didn't want any type of bad blood between us before I closed this chapter and move on with my life, but she didn't say anything back, and dad said that we needed some time cooling off and setting some boundaries, and I guess that was it between us. Bro, normalize not saying sorry when you don't need to. If you really want to make your point clear and to really leave an impression, stop saying sorry. Don't give in to them. Put your whole dick on the table, bro. If this is gonna be our last conversation ever, y'all are pieces of shit. You treated me horribly. Fuck you. I'm out. No sorries. In the next 2 weeks, we were packing and leaving the state. I didn't tell anyone where my new house will be. Only once I got there and settled down did I write a long message about everything they did and how I felt. And at the end of the message, I told them that I was completely cutting contact with my parents and my older brother. I changed my phone number and blocked all of my family from my social media. And you know what? My life has never been this peaceful in a long time, and I am happy about everything. And my baby will arrive any day now. It is honestly stressing, but I love it so much. We hired a helper around the house because why not? Now my day consists of sleep, take a walk, eat some more, have back and hip pains, and repeat, which honestly isn't that bad. Thank you for reading. Ended probably as best as it could. I'm just still pissed that she didn't give it to these parents, bro. Ugh. I need them to be told what is what. OP saying sorry probably somewhat affirmed for them that they were in the right, and like they're not gonna get the full brunt of what they should get. Y'all know my shit. I want dicks on the table. That sounded really gay. Y'all know what I mean. Leanne, this is exactly how I feel. I wanted her to crash out. Feels unfinished. Exactly. And a well-deserved crash out. My boyfriend threatened to break up over Miss Dior and now won't talk to me because I laughed. We have a 24 male boyfriend and a 22 female OP. Original post, January 22nd, 2025 in r/relationship advice. My boyfriend and I have been together for almost 2 years now. Aside from some small bumps in the road, we have been in a very good place throughout the whole relationship. However, last night, things escalated over, in my opinion, something super dumb, but he thinks differently of that and now stopped talking to me. It started when we were in bed. He was gaming and I was on my laptop looking to order a new perfume. Since I stopped my job to focus on studying, I don't have as much income, so I decided to not get the expensive perfume I usually go for, Miss Dior. I thought it'd be better to find a body spray with a resembling scent. As he was looking over my shoulder, he asked me what I was doing, so I explained. He then reacted saying I wore Miss Dior in our first period of dating and it is my smell, and how it was one of the things that attracted him to me. I must admit this made me a bit annoyed because I'd rather get that perfume too, but it's just not responsible to do so right now. He started rambling on how I care more about saving money than I care about him. I said that's not true, but then he kept saying his hypersensitivity issues can't deal with adjusting to a new scent. Any dude who is like, oh, my girl puts makeup on for me, she wears perfume for me, is just so ridiculous, probably low-key misogynistic. She wears that makeup for her. She wears that perfume for her. However, whenever, how frequently she wants to put it on is up to her, not to you, my guy. If she finds a scent and you don't like it, communicate that to her. Hey, this gives me a headache. I'm a little hypersensitive to it. Do you mind not wearing it when you're hanging out with me? I think that stuff is fine because that's just like, you know, if it gives you a headache, you should mention it. But other than that, like, I said I'd find a scent similar to my old one, but he wasn't content. At this point, he said he'd have to break up with me if I would go for another scent. I found this hilarious and thought he surely must be joking, so I laughed, which made him go silent. I let him be because I was really annoyed and we went to sleep. Now he left early morning and doesn't respond to my texts or calls. I have no idea what to do, and I'm starting to doubt how I handled the situation. Did I fail him by not taking his hypersensitivity into account? Maybe this is bad for me to say. If there's any time to call a man a beta male, it's for this. If you don't wear the perfume I like, I'm gonna break up with you. Like, shut the fuck up. Why are you being such a man child right now? Why do you gotta be such a fucking loser? It's so ridiculous for a full-grown man to have an issue with someone's perfume, which, like, sure, that might come up every once in a while. That's fine. But then to go about it the way that he's going about it, like, I'm gonna stop talking to you, because that's how a mature relationship works. You do something I don't like, I'm gonna threaten a breakup, and I'm not gonna communicate with you to try to work through this situation. Over perfume? Ridiculous. This is the stuff that, like, if I were a girl, this is what I'd get the ick from. I don't know, maybe I'm picky, but I just would not put up with that shit. If bitch boy wants the smell so bad that he should buy it for her, I agree with that as well, WIBTAH. Stop complaining about it. Don't buy a video game and buy the scent for her if it's really that important for you. But even then, like, I get it, like, scents are a problem, and, like, you should bring it up, but you shouldn't bring it up in a way that's like, it's my way or no way. Like, it's stupid. Update to the post, January 27th, 2025, 5 days later. After I posted this, I was a bit of a mess, but after hours of ignoring me, he texted me late in the evening and asked me to meet up because he does not want us to be in a bad place. I really wanted to talk to him, at least to clear things up, so I went to his place. When I got there, he acted a bit disappointed still, but he did say he didn't want us to fight. I felt the same, but also took your advice to heart, the idea of letting him buy a bottle. However, for some context, I do think he might be on the spectrum. No diagnosis, but his dad is too, and it makes sense. So I did want to show him I care and take his hypersensitivity seriously. Therefore, I decided to suggest we pay half and half for a new Miss Dior, and then until that one would be finished, I'll make sure to do research to find a really good dupe. He was not as convinced. Told me it wasn't my birthday anytime soon. I explained that I understood, but we'd have to both compromise. Well, to quote his literal words, if you're such a feminist, you should be so financially too. This got me fuming. I had no words, so this time time I left. As per your advice in the replies, I did some thinking about the rest of our relationship. I realized other things in our relationship that at the time didn't sit quite right with me were situations of him being controlling and self-concerned. Situations I always considered as little things he'd mean differently or would learn from. I was wrong, you were right. I asked him to meet up today and I dumped his ass. I feel terrible right now, but I know I'm better off. So anyone advice for a cheap, nice body spray? May I recommend mahogany antique wood from Bath & Body Works? I will not stop plugging them until they give me a goddamn sponsorship. Oh man, I mean, I'm glad she got there. I'm surprised she even gave him this chance because it seemed more than just the perfume. It was giving extremely controlling from the start, which I don't think is something you can train out of a man at the age of 24 male. Like, his brain's pretty much already fully developed. He's probably watching Andrew Tater Tot videos on the side, you know? Commodore, what did he say when you broke up with him? OOP, he mumbled something along the lines of, good, I deserve better. But then after that, he did text me to say sorry and if we could talk again. So he's not very consistent. If you can't find a guy who not only like wants to compromise on shit with you, but then also like isn't a controlling fuckstick, it's not even worth being with them. Like, those little things are gonna bleed into how you raise the kids, your responsibilities around the house, like how you go about finances. Like, it all is going to bleed when the stem of it is that they're controlling as fuck. Like, if any of my sisters told me about this, I'd be like, yo, you gotta fucking dump that bitch. Get the fuck out of there. Look who decided to come through. They've been waiting so patiently for you, handsome man. We're literally starting a cult around you, bro. I use it as a way to justify marrying my entire chat. Yetta, thank you for the 5 gifted. Bean, say thank you, Yetta. I've been teaching him good manners, other than him biting me. Oh, that's just my floppy guy, huh? His cute little white belly. I just enjoy when he snuggles like this. I gotta eat it up. He purring though. He's a happy guy. Oh. Oh, another flop. We got the Floppuccino man. The dangle dongle boy. Are we down? Okay, we're down. It's treat time. Came for that good. All right, so Yetta, Hollow, Ren, Lol Smile, Hostile Cran, Corley. Guys, thank you so much for all the gifted subs. We're gonna give them 3 treats. Ooh, there you go. These ones are from Tabby and Say So for the YouTube memberships. And then we'll risk it for the biscuit chat. We're gonna give them 2 more. This is from General Subs Donos. Also, shout out to somebody named Sophia. They keep like giving super thanks on my YouTube videos and telling me to give Beans treats, and I finally remembered. So this is from you guys. There's one more. You're so sweet. You're so silly. Oop. Ah! I shocked him. I must have had static charge. I'm so sorry. Alright, I'm gonna give him this. Friend having wedding day before mine and kept relationship hidden for a whole year. What do I do? Original post, December 17th, 2024. Originally posted in r/wedding drama. I'm getting married in a few weeks. About a month ago, one of my best friends who I've known since college and have kept in regular contact with dropped the bomb that she was getting married. I didn't even know she was seeing someone. She then drops the bomb that she's marrying a guy in our friend group and that her wedding is going to have to be the day before mine because her father-in-law can't get time off work at any other time that month, and essentially gave a few other half-assed reasons about why other weekends weren't possible. One weekend will be a few days before her period starts, so she'll be bloated. The other, she's on her period, and the other is Valentine's weekend, and that's cringy. The other is too close to Ramadan, so she can't go on her honeymoon straight away, etc. Some backstory about the person she is marrying. He is someone that we always thought she had a thing for, but she'd always deny it and say she saw him like a brother. We used to argue a bit over her prioritizing him over me back in college, especially because this guy and I didn't really get on much, and her and I were so close. For example, me and her had brunch plans once, and she spent the whole time texting him. After graduating though, I feel like we all matured and put differences behind us to the point where her husband-to-be was actually invited to my wedding as my friend. My knee-jerk reaction to her telling me she was engaged was crying tears of joy for her. I truly was happy for her. But when I got home to think about it, I felt really icky. All year since I've been wedding planning, she's been asking me really specific questions about my planning process. She complained to me that as my best friend, she didn't feel involved enough in my planning process and said she wanted to come dress shopping with me, which I invited her to because of her expressing this. But then for her to turn around and tell me that she's been dating this guy on and off for a year, whilst also keeping it secret, makes her feeling left out of my stuff come across as so hypocritical. And then there's the question of why the rush, since she's known him a decade, and why specifically my wedding weekend when I sent out my save the dates back in March. So she's had so much time to plan and leave some time in between. It's not about me not having all the attention on me. It's just how can she expect me to be fully present at her wedding, and how selfish she must be to expect me to have to fit her into an already stressful weekend for me. When I told her this, she doubled down on that weekend being the only one available, and that she specifically chose that one because she knew I'd be available since I booked a few days off from work before the wedding, and that she needed me at her wedding. She said I would embarrass her around her future in-laws since she made such a point of needing to pick a date that I could attend, even though I had no clue she was seeing him, nor did she check if the day was a good fit for me. I then also expressed how upset I was that she kept the relationship hidden from me, to which she said she thought I'd cut her off because of my history not getting on with this guy. Again, we all moved past that stuff years ago and are a far cry from the kids we were when we all met back in freshman year. When I told her I didn't think I could make her wedding, she was so upset she cried and said she never thought I'd do that to her and skip her wedding. She's been telling other friends in the friend group that I'm coming to the wedding when they asked if the date is doable for me. We haven't spoken since my conversation about how upset with her I was a month ago. I'm not trying to be a bridezilla, and I know people are entitled to be private. My issue is that she should have extended that privacy with me and not asked so many questions about my life, knowing she was being so tight-lipped with hers. This is where I now need advice. I feel so bitter and like the whole friendship was a lie. I can't make it to her wedding, and honestly having her at mine feels disingenuous. She has been telling friends she is still coming to mine. Is it rude for me to not go to her wedding? Should I go to her wedding since this is a decade-long friendship? Part of me wants to disinvite her and her husband-to-be from my wedding because of the lies. Is that rude? Is there a polite way to disinvite someone from your wedding without coming across like an absolute villain? Edit, I'm Middle Eastern, so traditionally we don't have bridesmaids or a rehearsal dinner. Also fixed some wording plus added some more detail. Maybe there's a tiny itty bitty chance that this friend isn't crazy and not try to sabotage OP's wedding, like maybe 1%, but my gut is telling me this was all intentional. Not telling her about the relationship and planning the wedding the day before her wedding, which I think universally should just be a big no-no. It screams jealous and I need more attention than my friend. And I guess with that assumption, I think you do need to tell her you're not going to her wedding, tell her that she's not invited to your wedding, and I don't think there's a good way to do it. I think you just gotta pull the band-aid off and hope and pray that she just takes it like a champ, which I'm guessing she won't. It's too sus for me. Private and a secret are different things. This might be a hot fucking take here. I don't think you're good friends with someone if you can't even tell them that you've been dating someone for a year. I don't think that's a good friendship. If I had like a best friend and he just surprise shottied me and was like, yeah, by the way, I've had a partner for a year and we're getting married, I would be like, dude, what? Why didn't you tell me? Like, to me, part of being friends is sharing those base level things with each other. And if you can't even share like, oh, I went on a cool date with somebody and now we're dating and I want you to meet them so you can approve of them. And I know that she knew of this person beforehand, but still, like, you didn't know that person in the relationship with your friend. I just think that's massively important. That's not something you keep secret. That's not something you keep private with your true friends. Secretly dating on and off for just 1 year and already getting married sus. Guys, I said that 2 years isn't enough for me to like be married to someone, and I got so many people in the comments butthurt about it who are like, actually, I was dating this person for 6 months and then we got married 3 months later. Like, it works out fine. And I'm like, you're not even balls deep in your marriage yet. You gotta chill with that. Half of them are still in the honeymoon phase. No, for real, Tabby. That's how I feel. Like, you can't get married in the honeymoon phase. When you're looking over all the red flags and shit that your partner's probably doing, like, no. Just no. I also feel like you should have one real argument because that reveals a lot about yourself, your partner, and your relationship. It reveals how you argue, how constructively you argue, and how you go about problem solving with your partner. I think that shit is so important. Commenter, when did this friend send out wedding invitations that you just found found out and she's expecting you to attend. Sounds very last minute on her part. OOP. So from what I've heard from the grapevine, she's only just found a venue and no invitations have gone out yet. She's been insisting that officially the engagement happened and they knew they were getting married in November, which is why nothing has been booked. It all just seems so wishy-washy to me. Another commenter, I just have to add a totally instant gut reaction to this situation. Your friend was siphoning off all of your wedding planning to make hers easier. She deliberately planned the day before yours to cover that fact up. Hers is the earlier wedding, therefore you copied her in her mind anyway. OOP, that's what I'm thinking too. Before all of this, she kept on saying how easy wedding planning seemed to be going for me. It's not been easy at all. I'm just good at hiding it and I'm very organized. And how I thought of things she would have never even known was a thing. In terms of disinviting and the cultural impact, it's very split down the middle with opinions. So I'm really torn. Thank you for the hugs. I really appreciate it. This has helped me feel like I'm not being unreasonable or a bridezilla. One last thought from OOP. Trust me, there are so many holes that I'm curious about too in her story and a lot else that I didn't put in myself. In terms of how busy I'll be the day before OOP's wedding, I'll be putting together my wedding favors with the girls in the family in the days leading up to the wedding. We'll be doing airport runs up to the day before as a lot of family will be traveling in, some from 20 plus hours away. We live close to 3 major airports, so it's all hands on deck. And then honestly, I was hoping I'd get a nice early night in to relax for once because I've had such a busy year. I'll be combining my henna event with the reception on the day of the wedding because I've already had 2 events and have a Western style bridal shower the weekend before. So I wanted to cut down on events. Yeah, that doesn't sound like you can even have time to attend a wedding. That's insane. Update post, January 30th, 2025, 1.5 months later. A few people in the original post were asking about rehearsal dinners and all of that stuff. I'm Middle Eastern and we don't really do that in our culture. Some people also said I needed to get over myself and that I don't own the whole weekend, which is true, I don't. My issue was the lying and also the expectation of me to drive a total of 5 hours, 2.5 hours there and back the day before my wedding and to attend another when I had so many things to finalize. I also just needed to vent. Being lied to and having something that felt so calculated happen in what I thought was one of my closest friendships is strange. I mean, shit, bro. If you say, hey, this weekend I'm getting married, my wedding is happening on this specific weekend, like to me, the subtext of that is I'm going to be doing nothing but getting married this weekend. Like, do you own the weekend? No, but it's like this weekend is big no-no for anything other than me getting married, which is one of the most important things in my life. Oh, and I don't think it was a shotgun wedding, which a lot of people were suggesting. Anyways, I had my wedding. It was perfect, and I wouldn't change a thing. I didn't go to her wedding. I genuinely didn't have the time. I did see some posted videos of her wedding. She didn't copy mine, which a lot of people were worried about considering she had been asking me about all of my prep. I'll give her the flowers though. Her wedding was gorgeous, but definitely not a 2-month planned wedding like she was making out it was to me. In the end, she ended up coming to my wedding about 3 hours late. I was too busy being in my own newly married bubble to notice her or anything, but I did get feedback from people who were sat at her table. Like people said she would in my original post, she spent the whole time talking about her wedding. In our culture, the bride receives a heavy piece of gold jewelry at her wedding. She made a show of having her new husband take her piece of jewelry out of her bag and putting it on her at the table just after my husband and I, feel so nice to say that, did our outfit change. She was also showing off other pieces of jewelry she received, making it a point to emphasize that she received real sapphires and real diamonds. Her and her husband also spent the whole time texting each other, which means they were probably saying not very nice things that they didn't want our mutual friends overhearing. And she frequently would turn to him and say, "Don't worry, we're leaving soon." They were packing on the PDA with neck kisses. She also then cried to my mom and brother about how she didn't understand why I've not been talking to her and how I've been so cold to her. This wasn't true. I'd only told her how much her actions and lies had hurt me, and to be honest, she was the one who didn't respond to my last message. My mom, being the classic mom she is, brought her to me and tried to make us hug it out. We have this really awkward exchange caught on camera. My mom did tell my friend that she shouldn't have lied to me for a whole year though, so it's nice to know she had my back even if she pulled a typical mom move trying to make everyone happy. Our mutual friends are all on my side. No one really thinks she's in the right. Most of them didn't go to her wedding. With the invites being so last minute and her wedding being on a weekday, a lot of people couldn't get the time off or childcare. No one else knew about the wedding, which is crazy. I do believe that her truth is that she doesn't think she's done anything wrong, and she really does think that she can considered me and my situation in her wedding planning. Unfortunately, I think it's one of those friendships where we no longer really align, and I have taken a step back and distanced myself from her. I do appreciate that she came to my wedding. However, I think she did it to make a point more than out of the goodness of her heart and respect for our friendship, considering what she pulled. Look, even if there was no malice and she genuinely thinks that everything that she did here was out of the goodness of her heart, it's the stupidity for me. I wouldn't want to be around someone like this where they're so stupid that they think everything that they're doing here is the right move. So it's either they're malicious and awful and you should kick them out, or they're really, really stupid and you should also kick them out. Like, I just don't see a world where you just go no contact with this person. I wish she would have uninvited them from the wedding though. I think that would have been the right move. Like, the fact that she knows all this about her is just so extra. Like, I wouldn't want my wedding day tainted by this person. I'd be like, get them the fuck out. Especially showing up 3 hours late to a wedding is crazy. Also, who would want to be at a wedding right after they got married? I get married, we are going on immediately on the honeymoon and we're humping like bunnies. I'm not trying to show up to a wedding. Sorry, male bunnies don't last long. I never said I did either. Hubby and I are doing a courthouse one. No wedding, no drama. No, for real. And not expensive as fuck. I'm trying to find a wife who's like, let's not drop 50 bands on a fucking wedding. Let's drop 50 bands on a down payment on a house. Or let's put 50 bands into the stock market and turn it into a milli. Like, that's my shit. My boyfriend got in an accident in my car, didn't tell me, and now refuses to do anything about it. We got a 32 female OP and a 35 male boyfriend. Original post, July 24th, 2019. Originally posted to r/relationship advice. Throwaway because this shit is embarrassing as fuck. I've been with my boyfriend for a little over 3 years. Every once in a while, I will let him drive my car when his is low on gas or if he has the good parking spot and doesn't want to move, etc., etc. A couple weeks ago, I get a call from my insurance company letting me know they need a statement about the accident. What? After a solid 45 minutes of adamantly proclaiming this lady was full of shit and that there was no accident, the insurance rep said, well, we have a report that boyfriend's name was in an accident in blah, blah, blah parking lot on this date, claiming he was driving his girlfriend's car. Oh, I call my boyfriend. He denies up and down that there was no accident. I explain the call I received and he replies with, oh yeah, I forgot about that. No, you didn't. Apparently, he had been dodging calls for over a month and did not tell me any of this was going on. There was no damage to my car, so there was no reason for me to think anything had happened. So yesterday, I was trying to work out with my insurance company details, get him to make a statement, and it's impossible. He stopped responding to my text about the situation, so I called him. He clears it. I call him again. He clears it. He texts me, I am with my parents. Okay, but this is a serious situation and I need to speak with you about it. Can you please answer? I don't want to fight with you in front of my parents. This isn't a fight. I need details about the accident from you. He won't take my call. So I send him kind of a shitty text, something along the lines of, you can't even show me the respect to take my call about something serious. This isn't even a real relationship with you. Silence. After about 2 hours of radio silence and me very, very upset, I call again. He says, I don't have the energy to do this with you right now. I'm painting. I don't want to talk. I say, what about my feelings? What about me? He says, scoff. What about you? And hangs up. I haven't heard from him since. I know he is waiting for me to break down in contact, as that has historically been the case. I need some help drafting my response to the situation. I am frozen in shock and pain, and I'm at a loss on what the next step is. What in the fucking man-child is happening right now? Who is liable in that situation? Is it the boyfriend or is it OP? Like, I'm just not familiar with insurance and how it works if someone like borrows your car or something like that. I'm very much on the fuck this guy, break up with him. But also you gotta make sure that none of this falls on you, right? Increases your insurance payment, make sure that you don't have to pay for this thing. Is like filing a police report the move? I actually just genuinely don't know. But yeah, girl needs to drop homeboy. OP needs to get out. My mom's ex was like this and he was cruel to her. As long as it's under OP's name, it's their fault. And my mom's ex used this to control her, tank her insurance and credit later. It's just such a basic thing to own up to. Like, I drove my girlfriend's car. I got into an accident. I need to do what needs to be done to make sure that my girlfriend isn't hurt by this. Legally, it's on OP. I would say maybe keep trying to get him to pay for shit. I guess you could also try to figure out like how bad the damage is, but that fucking sucks. Update 1, it is 12:15 p.m. my time and still not a word from this fool. He gives no fucks. I am done. Second update. So he contacted. The text I just got was, we have the kind of love that was forged in adventure and sealed in the bathroom. What? No mention of the accident or the fight? How do I even respond to this? I'd be pissed. What the fuck? Approach his parents with evidence? I would love for this man to be held accountable, but I'm also wondering if it's even worth OP's time, you know? Maybe it's worth going to the parents, but like, that feels a little weird as an adult to be like, I'm telling on you to your mommy. I don't know, maybe file a police report? I just don't know, chat. Relevant comments. Someone said, okay, but like the last message he sent her, we have the type of love that's forged in adventure and sealed in the bedroom, is a quote from the Netflix show Disenchantment. OOP, it wasn't even an original lame-ass, weak-ass line. Oh, hell no. Did he actually fucking... That's such an ick. He probably thought he ate with that too. Oh my god. Okay, so someone asked, do you know the extent of the damage on the other car or a possible contact? Maybe directly speak to the owner of the other vehicle. OOP, from what my insurance says, the lady just wants her deductible paid out, $500 to get her bumper fixed. Dum Dum Boyfriend says that it was barely a scratch, so that seems like a lot of money. I like the idea of talking to the chick directly. This person says, are you absolutely positive that he isn't actually 3 children in a trench coat? OOP. Oh my fucking god, I'm crying at this. Hey, look, not to keep beating the dead horse here. It took her 3 years to come across this situation with her boyfriend. Like, probably glad they didn't get married yet. Oh no, dude, that's insane. I can't believe that. That is just absolutely awful behavior. Update. My boyfriend claims I was merely setting a fire for attention. July 25th, 2019, the next day. You guys? I can't? I know most of you said ghost him, but I just couldn't. While undoubtedly that is what he deserved, I needed to hear from his perspective why he thought any of this was okay before I could close the door. And honestly, I am glad I did, because it solidified for me that this relationship was an excellent learning experience, that I had done my learning and it was time to move the fuck on. His avoidance of the situation was explained by his thinking it wasn't that big of a deal. He said that he didn't understand why this lady was making such a big fuss about her bumper, and that I was unreasonably upset about it, and he didn't want to talk about it until I had calmed down. Oh, hell no. I kept it together until I got his side of the story. According to him, they were both backing out of their parking spots and smacked into each other. He was all the way out of his spot. She was halfway out of hers when bang. I literally dialed the phone and sat with him while he called the insurance rep and gave his statement. He was found at fault due to his being all the way out of the spot. I am not 100% sure what this means for me, my policy, or my pocket yet. As far as the relationship, done. When he came over to talk, I had all of his things packed up. I tried to explain how hurt and disappointed I was about his actions and told him that I could no longer trust him because of how terribly he handled the situation. He said, I shit you not, oh, please, you just set a fire and expected me to come to your rescue and put it out. And when I didn't, you threw a fit. I'm sorry, I just didn't have the energy to put out your fire. This is your goddamn fire, set by your shitty actions and fueled by your avoidance. I burst into tears, handed him his bag, and said I needed him to leave. Now, I told him anything of mine left at his place he can throw away or leave there until his next victim or mother comes and cleans it for him. Speaking of his mother, I did listen to you and craft a very detailed email to her with him CC'd. I explained what happened and then asked her for his driver's license number and policy name and ID number just in case it's needed. Her response was, I am very sorry that you're having to deal with all this, but I don't see how this is our problem if it was your car. I feel like this whole family is a bunch of lizard people sent to Earth to make me question my reality. Anyway, single at 32 again. Woo! I am sad as fuck, but trying to focus on the plus side, as someone said, cutting a bunch of dead ass weight. Thanks again for all the love and laughs. Oh, and yes, once it's determined how much this is going to affect my rates in my pocket, I will be taking his cartoon quoting ass to small claims court. I have already spoken to my attorney about it. Much love, Pixie. Let me cook through the relevant comments here. I mean, it's baffling that he can't own up to a fender bender. They're pretty common, and while a small hassle, ultimately not a big deal. On the plus side, you've obviously dodged a huge bullet. OOP, on the real. Something that would have taken up to 30 minutes of my life has now ended a relationship and resulted in a lawsuit because this motherfucker can't face reality. The mother's reaction is what gets it for me. Like, I pull some shit like this and my ex emails my mom is beating my ass, both metaphorically and physically, and I would deserve it. Once again, man, we are thankful today for Kathy. Thank God I wasn't raised like this. That's actually insane behavior. As a 35-year-old man, what are you doing? He almost sounds like hippie with it, where he's like, our love is just an adventure. Like, I know it was from a quote from a movie, but just like the way he talks about shit is like, you set a fire and then wanted me to put it out, but like, I just didn't have the energy. Like, you know, it sounds like that shit. It sounds like that freeloader, stoner, fake philosophical, deep guy who thinks he's all that, but realistically, he can barely wipe his own ass. Yes, that's a silver lining. The minor accident helped her dodge a bullet. If it were just $500 for me, I'd just be like, get this fucking person out of my life. I don't care. $500, like, whatever. 500 is a lot for some people. I 100% I know that. Just because you do a small claims in small claims court does not mean that you're going to get that money. Putting in a small claim is a ton of hassle for like probably no reward there. My brother has been poisoning my girlfriend for the past 3 years. Before we finish up this last story, if you've gotten this far into the video, that probably means that you're enjoying it. And if that's the case, all I ask is that you subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any future reading Reddit videos. I upload 2 a week. They're usually 40+ minutes and they go up every Monday and Thursday. On top of that, I have over 110 reading Reddit videos on my channel. So if you're looking for your daily dose of drama, head on over to my channel for hours and hours of reading Reddit stories just like this one. Original post, August 29th, 2019, originally posted to r/relationship advice. She has always been allergic to lactose very severely to the point where she had any traces in her food, she would basically shit herself on the spot ever since she was a kid. My brother and I have always been on good terms and always hung out with each other until 3 years ago when I met my girlfriend. He started getting more distant and mean towards me, talking about how she's ruining our broship and taking me away from our family and him. I told him he was crazy and didn't think too much of it until recently. Going back to 3 years ago when I introduced Katie to my parents, he was livid. I moved out about 6 months later because I was tired of his constant bitching about her coming over to sleep and hang out. Ever since then, we would have family dinners at my parents' every month on Sundays. My family is Italian, so we eat a lot of pasta and sauce, relevant. My parents always make 2 separate meals ever since they met her. One with no milk/lactose-free milk for Katie, and one for the rest of us. She never had issues unless there was an accidental cross-contamination, which happened every so often. The problem was, every month at those dinners, she was getting sick to the point of rushing to the bathroom and having excruciating diarrhea for an hour with severe cramps. Every single time. At one point, I started refusing to go and my parents kept insisting, so I gave it another try. It was fine for a few months and then it started yet again. This goes on and off for 2.5 years. I got really mad last week and got up in the middle of dinner and said to my parents, something is up and someone is messing with Katie's food. My parents go quiet and ask me why I would say that. My brother turns rather pale and stopped smiling. I knew it was him. I confronted him and he started crying, saying he felt like he had to get payback at her for stealing away his big brother. That it wasn't fair. He said he was adding milk to the batch made for her and he had no regrets. I was absolutely livid. Katie was as well. She excused herself and asked me to drive her back to our place. It's been 3 months and she cut contact with my parents. Katie refuses to talk to them anymore because they should have had my brother in check and given him a worse punishment. He literally got a smack behind the head, and that was it. And said she can't believe I didn't stop talking to them as well. My parents, on the other hand, are mad that we let his little incident break our relationships. My girlfriend says if I keep contacting them and insisting she forgives my brother, she is going to leave me. You're insisting that she forgives your brother? All right, my guy. Now I'm pro dump OP. Do I think OP should go no contact with the parents? No. I think he should talk to his parents and be like, you guys need to give him a more severe punishment for me to be around you more often. And maybe he should go low contact. I don't think no contact, but like not only not going full no contact with the little brother, but then insisting that she forgive the brother. Hey bro, let's insist on your brother saying sorry and spending the next 5 years trying to earn her forgiveness. Also, why does this brother have like a low-key Oedipus complex with his brother? I know Oedipus is mom to son, but like brother to brother? Weird as fuck. I love this girl to death. We've got plans to buy a house eventually and have kids. On the other hand, I love my parents too, but I can't have both anymore. What should I do? Please tell me these comments are telling him at least fuck his brother, maybe fuck his parents. You should distance yourself from your brother until he grows the fuck up. You didn't ruin your broship with him. He did. Even if he does choose to forgive him and continue having a relationship, the trust is obliterated. And I would make sure to point out to him that it is a big if in regards to continuing the relationship. Just looked it up and food tampering is a second-degree felony. Holy shit. How old is this guy, by the way? 18-year-old? Maybe I'm pro call the cops on him. Like I said, I like to give younger people the benefit of the doubt, but he's an adult now. He should know that's wrong, and nobody else is holding him accountable to his actions, so I kind of agree with y'all. I think the girlfriend should file a police report, and if OP stays where he's at in terms of how on his brother's side he should be, I would leave OP. Update, August 22nd, 2019, the next day. I've read over 200 comments from you guys, and it just validated my mind that my family is fucked up. I contacted my mom and confronted her about why she would defend my idiotic brother, and she basically said he was young and stupid. I told her a few of your comments and that Katie could press charges, and she broke down crying, saying he won't do it again. Hell no, he won't. Because I told her I decided to cut them off for good. Katie was actually relieved when I told her I was on her side and cut them off. Basically told me she was going to dump me for being an idiot who couldn't support his girlfriend of 3 years when she was basically being tortured for fun. I'm just glad she didn't and that we are getting through this together. Thank you guys for every comment, even the ones calling me out for being an idiot trying to make Katie forgive my brother for the horrible things he did. When you're faced with this kind of dilemma and you've been close to your family for over 20 years, you can be blind. So me and Katie cut them out starting today, and we plan to move to the USA next year. We always wanted to live there and finally be far away from them. I wasn't very pro cut the parents off until he had this conversation. Like, if they clearly aren't going to hold their son accountable, then they should be included in that cutoff with the brother. All right, OP, you made the right choice. We don't hate you, but you're on thin ice, brother. OOP appeared in the comments and gives a little update February 5th, 2025, 5 years later. Somebody commented, oof, had to check the date when he said that they wanted to move to the States next year, and that was bad timing. OOP, yeah, we actually never ended up moving to the USA, but did go no contact. It's been a roller coaster. Someone followed up with, are you still no contact now? Did your brother or parents ever make an effort to apologize or otherwise make amends? Over the past 5 years, have you had any insights about what's wrong with your brother and or parents? Any idea what your brother is doing now? Finally, did you ever figure out if your parents were in on it, as so many commenters speculated? Sorry to be nosy, it's just rare here in Boru that we get to talk with OOP. OOP, we kept it no contact, but it fucked up the family dynamic. We also got married in between. It has been hard, but no, we do not have any more info about my brother or my family. My mom kept trying to reach out, but we blocked and did not respond. I was expecting, yeah, so my brother is actually a serial killer and he's in jail now. Like, that's what I was expecting. We might need to wait a little bit longer for that update, I guess. I think OP's on thin ice. Did he eventually make the right decision? Yes. Should we give him credit for that? Maybe a little bit. His initial reaction was not it. He came on Reddit for advice. He got the advice and was open to it. Like, rarely do we see a man doing that.